BigCountryPreps.com. I'm Evan Wren, and this is the Countdown to Two-A-Days series, our daily look at an area football team and the key questions we'll be answering about that team in our August 16th preseason football preview here at Big Country Preps. I'm with my partner, Dan Youngblood, via Zoom. And tonight, Dan, we're talking about one of the powerhouse programs in the Big Country, the Wall Hawks, and we're expecting a lot of them this year.
Yeah. I mean, not only is it a powerhouse program, this particular team looks on paper like it's going to be one of the better ones that Wall's fielded in a while, and that's saying a whole lot. They returned 26 of 36 lettermen from last year's 12-2 team, including 8 offensive and 9 defensive starters. So a ton of experience from a team that had a ton of success. So I think if you're a Wall fan, there is very good reason to be excited about this season and what this team is capable of, and it's going to be fun to watch for sure. We kind of treat these Countdown to Two-A-Days as an opportunity to look at some questions to ask, and this is one of the teams with probably the fewer questions than most others, but we're going to address a few of those here in just a few minutes.
Well, before we start asking those questions, let's remind the YouTubers that follow us to please hit the subscribe button. And then after that, hit the little bell, won't you please? And that way you'll get notifications every time we come up with a new podcast here at Big Country Preps, which will make it it'll be a good way for you to follow along with the Countdown to Two-A-Days series, which will see us examining one new team a day all the way up to the outset of two-a-day workouts, which start on July 31st this year, if you can believe that. It's right around the corner.
Yep. Yeah, we'll be doing that before we know it. But for now, let's jump in and talk about Wall. And this is a team where to get into questions and to get into weaknesses and those sorts of things, you have to really start nitpicking. I mean, this is a team that on paper does not have many discernible weaknesses. And that kind of the first question is one that if you're asking this question, you're in a really good spot as a program. And my question is this the Wall team that can get by Canadian in that region and potentially make it to Jerry World? I think when you look at everything this team has back on both sides of the football, to me, there's no reason to think it won't be a contender for the region. The only problem there is you've got Canadian waiting at some point, as Wall learned last year. But I'm wondering, with everything they've got back this year, if maybe this is the team that can get over that Canadian hump and get them back to Arlington, which would be pretty special.
I don't see a weakness on this team. One big question that I would have about Wall is how good defensively can they become with 9 starters back from what was already a very good defense last year, including one of the area's best player, if not the best player in defensive end, Brylan White, who's only a junior, by the way. With that bunch coming back and with White there on the end, I mean, how good is this team going to be defensively this year? It's going to be scary good. Yeah. Defensively, at least on paper, going in, it looks like they're going to be lethal.
And that's from a group that held a really good Childress team to 10 points, that shut out Idalou last year. So you're building from a pretty darn strong base to begin with, and to think they could be even better is pretty remarkable. One other question I have, and it's not necessarily a weakness, because it's always a good thing for any flexbone team when you're returning an experienced quarterback, as Wall does in Gunnar Dillard, and also an experienced fullback, as they do in Nathan Pepper, who rushed for over 1,000 yards and 15 TDs last year. Is my question is can they maybe get the passing game going just a little more efficiently? I think they hit some big plays in the passing game last year, but they had more probably interceptions than they wanted to. I wonder if they can eliminate some of those things, just increase the efficiency just a little bit. And if that becomes a bigger part of that offense, all of a sudden they get even more difficult to stop. And this was a really good offense last year as well. So with as much experience as they have back, I'm just interested to see the running game is going to be good. If they can just be a little bit more efficient in the passing game, they could be very, very difficult to stop this year.
When they run across the top teams in the region, the turnover factor is going to be the one thing to watch there. And if they can cut down on those picks, it's going to bring them up to a higher level. And they were already a pretty dang high level last year.
And that's the thing, like I said earlier, when you're talking about Wall, this particular Wall team, you are nitpicking to find any sort of weakness. And when you're talking about these question marks, you're talking about these are the questions that get you from a region championship to a state championship. So
welcome to Countdown to Hair Splitting.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what we're doing here today.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a quick look at Wall's schedule for 2023. Non-district portion first. They'll open with Eastland at home on August 25th, followed by a pair of road dates at Cisco and at Jim Ned. There's a couple of toughies right there on the road. And then they host Peaster, another tough ball game, on September 15th before an open date. And then they'll face Mason on the road, the Punchers at the Puncher Dome, September the 29th. That's a challenging non-district portion, and they're going to be good enough to meet it head on.
Yeah, and I think that'll be a really good non-district schedule for them because their district schedule won't be maybe as tough as it's been the past couple of years just because there's some rebuilding. Let's look at that. On October 6th, they open district at San Angelo Grape Creek before traveling to Ballinger the following week. Then they play a home game against San Angelo TLCA on the 20th of October before wrapping up district at Early on October 27th and at home against Brady on November 3rd. I think you look at that district and Wall as a very clear favorite. You expect them to kind of, in my opinion, maybe kind of walk through that district schedule. So I think it's going to be really important that they do get challenged in the non-district schedule, and they will definitely get challenged by that schedule that they've set up.
All right, and with that, it's about time to wrap up tonight's edition of the Countdown to Two-A-Days series, the Wall Hawks. But before we do that, we want to remind you that August 16th is the big day here at Big Country Preps. That's the day that we will release our preseason football preview, which will feature more than 40 team previews, more than 40 player features, predictions, stats, videos, and opinion pieces, a ton of material. No media source in the state of Texas is going to top our look at the Big Country area and football. They're not going to top it. This is the most comprehensive look at our teams. Join us August 16th.
In the meantime, thank you for joining us for this episode of our Countdown to Two-A-Days series. And make sure you come back tomorrow and we head west to highlight the Coahoma Bulldogs here at BigCountryPreps.com.